Con Stathopoulos and Josh Phegan come together in an incredible podcast, Grow, Scale, Master.
An energetic approach to drive progress, master skills, build strengths and put the strategy back into rapid business and personal success.
Backed by real-world experience in rapid scaling to playing the long-term game of business, it's the story of all the lessons learned on the journey to mastery.
Be inspired, renew your energy and chase the future with Grow, Scale, Master.
Con, one of the great conversations inside of any business is about, how big do we want to be? And this is the whole argument around breadth of marketplace versus depth of marketplace.
Yes.
And some people, we're too good for units. Other people, we only do houses. Yep. Other people, we're trapped in units. We can't get into houses. No one would ever list with us because we're not in the brand name suburb and we're the spoke suburb, if that kind of makes sense.
Yep.
So very rare for a Bondi agent to go and list something in Point Piper and Darling Point.
Yes.
But very common for a Double Bay agent to list in all three, really thinking through those conversations. I want you to think about it. What is the opportunity that sits inside of expansion?
Everything you want. But it depends. What are you looking for? We've gone down the path of rapid growth. We've gone, I'd like to think, deep and wide, but I think we went very wide initially, just in terms of capturing different markets, logical markets that made sense for buyer-seller migration. And I think that that's given us scale and a really good footprint and a platform to actually now go really deep. Mm-hmm. So the opportunity in expansion is you get to meet some incredible people. Mm. You get to learn lots of new things about yourself and your business. Mm-hmm. The one thing that we do is we really measure everything at an individual level. So we don't let the gains of one office or one agent kind of mask the sins. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that in a negative way. Mm-hmm. So I'm really intrigued by business and the psychology of it. Mm-hmm. But also then we also look at, what is the risk of us not expanding? Mm-hmm. And what is the risk of expanding? What pressure does that put on our business? So I think it's a great conversation. This is a really good conversation. And I think it's really important right now.
Do you do it market by market?
Yeah, we do.
And there's markets within markets, yes, right? So most people would measure sales market share. Mm-hmm. Does it surprise you that they don't measure property management market share?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Do you think it's silly?
What?
That you don't?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Think about it. It's the multiple of the valuation of your rent roll is a lot more than what most people will ever get for their sales business.
And why do you think people don't measure it?
They don't know how to.
But surely you just run a ruler or list out all of your competitors, ring a couple of mates, ask roughly how many they've got, add it up. You can see there's circa 3,000 under management. You got 300, you got 10% of the market.
Yeah. I don't think they've put a focus into it.
Mm-hmm. And interesting enough, do you believe in opening new or trying to buy an established business first?
Both. I'm pro-choice. So when it comes to auction or private treaty, I love auctions. Mm-hmm. I would always pick auction over private treaty, but I'm pro-choice. What's the right thing for that market?
What's the difficulty in opening a brand new office where you have no market share, no people, nothing? What's the problem with
exactly that?
Okay.
But I also think that that's also the opportunity is that, people want, like Parramatta, when we bought Parramatta had been established for 14 years. Mm-hmm. 13 years. And it was 14th in market share and it was in all the areas that really weren't even Parramatta-centric, right? Mm-hmm. And the one thing that we struggled with when I first got there was, why would someone want to come and join us? Mm-hmm. Well, rather than kind of focusing on what we've been doing in the past and our current state, I just set the future and the vision. Mm-hmm. And so for me, open, new or buying an established one, there's pros and cons. So Hawkesbury is a startup for us in a new market. We've had a lead agent there. We've had our ups and downs in that market, days on market, acreage, etc., kind of blown out. But, buying Rouse Hill was a masterstroke. Mm-hmm. So we bought that off McGrath and that was doing about $1.8 million in fees. 800 of that, by the way, I think was in the Hawkesbury. Then we merged Rumour's business. Brett Humby and his team came on board and then Corey's business came in and now Julie Grigg. So we've literally gone from, call it 1 million in revenue to like 10.
Yes.
So that's what a few strategic moves can do by having an open mind.
So I love buying an established business, you often get a really good lease. You get a photocopy at year 5 of its lease. You often pick up a great property manager, some good salespeople, some good ops people.
Absolutely.
You often pick up a lot of that past clientele that no one's ever done anything with. But I want you to think about like a really interesting conversation. Is that what would it take for us to become number 1 in each of our chosen markets? Is it important that people kind of stick to their knitting? Like, to say, don't just go for rapid expansion before you've nailed your first market when you're first starting out?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Because I think it depends on the size of the market. So when we're assessing opportunities, we look at total addressable market, and then we're also looking at all the quantitative and qualitative research that we can possibly do about dominant agencies, market share by person, etc. So we're taking a very strategic and scientific approach to we either go into a market fresh. So for example, we're looking at one right now. It makes logical sense to be in that market. It's probably more weighted to us buying someone, but we're in the process of, literally 2 major acquisitions as we speak right now. How much more burden, how much more LVR do we want to put at risk? But then at the same time, we can go and do a greenfield opportunity, and then how much more time is that going to sap? So right now, our decision as a leadership group is just hit pause.
So what I've seen definitely is that there have been some businesses that I've worked with over the years that have been like peninsulas. And so they've been on the edge of 3 sides of water. And if they don't expand out of that market, then they risk that someone else comes into that market and just eats them because the other brand had done a really good job of surrounds.
Correct, yeah.
And I think that this is interesting is that always keep the mothership, make sure it stays in its number 1 commanding position, because you don't want the cash cow to all of a sudden become one of the weakest in your model.
Absolutely. Well, what do they say? Why did the Roman Empire collapse?
Yes.
Well, they were too busy trying to go and conquer the world when they left the gates open and they got conquered.
And so that's kind of an interesting conversation around really know your core and don't be too good. And so sometimes you see the brands establish, we only sell houses above $1 million, and then they don't do anything below $1 million, but then they realize that below $1 million is where all their rent rolls build.
Correct.
And so they go, so it's kind of counterintuitive that they've actually cut off a whole section.
Yeah, I agree.
And so that's why it's really important, literally that I don't mind breadth if it makes sense. But what I want to know is I want to know the logical extension. Where do the first home buyers go? Where do the young families go? Where do the families with older kids go? Where do people then go and buy the big home? And then where do they downsize into?
Yes.
So I think that Alexander Phillips did a fantastic job of that, of Bondi to Tamar to Bronte.
And Collier the same. Paddo to, Double Bay to Vaucluse, Watson's Bay or Bellevue Hill, and then, back down to Paddo.
And so learning that run of where the majority of consumers, and you can actually buy Australia Post data on that.
Yeah, you can.
Which is awesome.
I think it was also Forecast ID or something like that too. Will tell you kind of where
people go and what they do next.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
And so that's kind of interesting because you've got to be really strategic. When you say size of market, I don't look at number of dwellings. I look at the total number of sales on a 10-year average.
Yep.
And that takes out any lumpiness of big land sales, big apartment sales, one-off building sales, whatever, to try to get a bit of an understanding of that. But I also look at, when I'm being strategic, what's the quality of my competition?
Yes.
I love going to markets with sleepy competitors.
Well, that's exactly right.
But also, too, when you go into these markets, are there lots of principals with no one? Or is there 1 or 2 principals with big sales teams?
Yes.
Because in some markets, you can't actually recruit salespeople because there's no one there who's not already a business owner, and you actually need to do mergers and acquisitions.
Correct. So 100%. I think all of those things are really important. But also...
But do you reckon people pay attention to it, though? Because I've had people who go, oh, man, there's no one to recruit in my area. I'm like, when did you work that out? Day 1?
Yeah.
But here's the key thing. No one else has built a sales team, and you expect to.
Yeah. Well, we kind of did that at Para, though, so that there were existing businesses and, when we were doing our analysis, we looked at, to be really frank, I was kind of doing research on, how quickly they would respond to a buyer inquiry. Did they have a price guide on? Was it an adjusted price guide? Did I ever get a call back from an open home? Did they follow me up post-auction? And then I quickly worked out that if I was going to start playing the same game as them, I would lose because these guys had much bigger rent rolls, probably no debt, definitely owned their buildings, when I was completely the opposite. I had only debt. Definitely didn't own a building, but... I think there's a lot of ego when it comes to growth and expansion. And, there's a couple of players that I know where you're watching them and you're like, that doesn't make any logical business sense. Stick to your lane. Stick into, that one office.
You have an office, you open a cost center.
That's exactly right. And what for? Because you can say, I've got 4 offices.
But you've seen this as well, where you've seen people that have got offices and there's no salespeople left in them.
Correct. They're ghost towns. Yeah. So what was the strategy? What was the thinking? So I think...
But like they were too busy opening something new.
Yeah, and then they all left. Yeah, that's exactly right. I think for me, what do you want in life? Mm-hmm. Right? So real estate is the perfect vehicle for change in people's lives. Mm-hmm. So what's the life that you want now? If I'm asking myself that question, mm-hmm. it could have been a lot less complicated and busier if we just stuck to Parramatta. Mm-hmm. Parramatta, I just got the numbers through. They're having a record month right now, which is almost twice what they used to do annually in a month. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, I didn't want that. Because it wasn't about the money. It was about maximising the opportunity. So for me, I'm obsessed by total addressable market and market share because I'm seeing the opportunity for us to increase the business by 5% market share. It's a 50% increase in terms of our revenue. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation, but I think people sometimes are getting poor leadership or guidance and they're like, yeah, go buy that rent roll. For me, I just watched Shane and John. They never bought a rent roll unless it was attached to a great sales business. Mm-hmm. So they got the arbitrage on both, right? Mm-hmm.
I think that the other great conversation here is that like really understanding that if you're going to build a really good quality business, keep the mothership, and understand the difference between spokes and hubs and opening hubs and be careful of spokes.
Yeah.
And the other conversation is that literally then if it is a hub and a spoke together, that's a cell. So that's one ownership group that owns that. And then literally then you can have different ownership groups across the cells.
Yeah, agreed.
Experiences that rapidly shaped you.
Kind of how you do anything is how you do everything. And this is about this whole idea about map consumer experiences. I have witnessed a huge drive in hospitality of people coming to tell you that once you don't order dessert, that there's already someone else who's going to need the table, so you'll have to leave. What do you think about that as a customer experience? Do you want to go back?
No, I hate that. I just because I don't want dessert.
Yeah.
Maybe I just want to have another drink, or maybe I just want to sit there and have a hot chocolate and talk to my friends, because it was fine when I was ordering lots of food, but the second I don't order dessert, like, you got to go.
And so do you reckon that causes a bit of an issue inside of a business when they just become about the money and stop actually providing customer experience?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, most definitely.
But yet, how do the good restaurants do it? They just walk up to you and they say, "Oh, hey, Con, we just wanted to bring yourself and your lovely wife to some biscotti and say, hey, thank you so much for dining with us tonight. When you guys are ready, we have your jackets and we look forward to seeing you again next time."
Well, I went to Margaret recently and they did, and they're very clear, 12 till 2.
Yes.
And then they said, hey, gents, we know it's just on 2. What we've done is we've set you up at the bar.
Yes.
Where you could have some dessert or something else to eat or a couple of more drinks.
Yes.
And when we got there, that they had, a little dessert that they'd given to us anyway, if that makes sense. So I think it's pretty simple. I mean, one idea or experience that's rapidly shaping me at the moment, I watched the football, the AFL Grand Final.
Yeah. Snoop
Dogg. Yeah. No, it wasn't about Snoop. It was just how these athletes just prepare.
Yeah.
And you see the athletes have a coach.
Yes.
But they don't have just one coach.
Yes.
There is a ruck coach, a midfield coach, a backline coach, a forward coach. There is a strength and conditioning coach, a mindset coach, a nutrition. Isn't that a pretty good analogy for what you might do in real estate? Mm. So you might have a mentor, which might be your principal or a sales manager or, someone else in that office. But then in today's society, when you've got, some of the best real estate brains, coaches, and access to information, why don't people have coaches?
So, but you have a look at it like in Blueprint when you were there and you've got all the different areas of your goals. And then the recommendation is to have a mentor in each area.
Yes.
So who's the best person physically?
Yes.
Who's the best person at financial stuff?
Yeah.
Who's the best person at travel? Who's the best person at adventure? Who's the best person at career development? And actually get those really good quality mentors around you so then you go to perform at your best.
Correct.
Something that's changing your view.
I'm going to ask you a question here, Con. Is static content dead? So if the average Australian is 1 hour and 50 minutes a day on social media, do you think they're looking more at photos and illustrations, or do you think they're absorbing more video content?
I think it's a trick question. I think it's more video content. Is static information dead? Ooh, probably.
Well, but like beautiful photography, no.
Yeah.
We can appreciate it.
Yeah.
But on average,
Yeah.
what will hook you in
Yeah.
and loop you in
Yeah.
is watching that.
Yeah,
and it was so funny because my dad, when I was a young child and we were growing up, Dad would be like, turn off the idiot box. And so that was the TV,
Yeah.
right? And so I was like, yeah. And, I saw Mum and Dad the other day and, we're spending some time at home and it was lovely. And, Dad's like, we're going to watch some TV. I said, how the tides have changed. It's like, I just want to relax. I said, man, that's what I was doing.
I just wanted to relax.
Yeah. But I said to him, the interesting thing is that now we have to say that about our mobiles.
Yeah.
And so like learning how to...
Have you learned?
Well, yeah, very hard.
You have?
Yeah, just trying to focus as much as...
I reckon I've got more ADD and...
No, but here's the key thing is that literally if you believe that, then what you're actually saying to me is that maybe I've given up on the future. Because the people that will dominate in the future are those that can actually hold the power of attention.
Yes, focus.
So the
Superpower.
one's ability to put the headphones on and just do
Focus.
that thing.
I totally agree.
And I've seen you in that mode. You're really good in that mode.
Yeah, I know.
But the lesson is put the phone down.
Yes.
Yep. And stay focused. Like, great, making calls, different story. Doing something purposeful, different
of course.
story.
Yeah.
But that's why I still carry a notepad with pens, because I actually want to be away from a digital environment for my creativity.
Well, I'm not talking so much about like the socials, like, I'll have a flicker through, Instagram and that type of stuff. I'll get great recipes and, places to visit in Greece and all that type of stuff. I'm talking about just how freaking attached I am because of how I've learnt the behavior of that needs to go. This comes with me everywhere.
Yes. So you have FOMO?
Yeah, I do. I do have FOMO,
nobophobia, the fear of not having one's mobile phone.
I also have the thing where it feels like it's vibrating, but it's not.
Yes.
Right? But I've built everything into this. So reminders, because I've got a lot of moving parts. I'll put a reminder. I'll say, hey, Siri, blah, blah, blah. I start to listen now. And I think what I've done is I have trained my brain that I have to react.
Yes.
Hence the red notification. I turned all notifications off.
Yes. Day one.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. Thanks. Yeah. It's like day 4
remove
million.
all social apps.
No.
And put them into a folder, like deep into the phone.
Right.
So like whenever anyone shows me their phone,
you gotta go.
Whatever's on the first or second page is what they access all the time.
Oh, okay. So I've only got one page.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
But look at what's on there.
What?
So from that point of view, you gotta have a second or a third.
No, I don't have one.
Yeah, but like if you have a look at it, I see Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn straight up.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that's what you're referring to. Yeah, okay. So you're saying you put them in a folder, then put them in a folder,
and then put them 2 or 3.
You keep burying them.
Yes.
So then you actually have to go and sort them.
It's a real energy and effort.
Yeah, that's
to
a
get
good
there.
idea. I like that.
Because like whatever someone's got on their front, when people are like, oh no, I'm really into my health, and like, show me the front of your phone. I'm like, that's the Macca's app. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's super. I like it.